are talking about living your dream. And really, it's living God's dream for your life. But I know that, how many of you were born and raised in the United States of America? Most of you. And obviously, the rest of you who did not born and raised, you are here in this place. There's something called the American dream, right? And it is an American dream. Originally, from what I understand, the American dream was that someday you could own your own home. That you could have, now I don't even know. Now the American dream is make your own dream. Let's, pull your bootstraps up. You can live your dream, whatever your dream is. What is your dream? And if you could figure out a way to live your dream, then you are living the American dream. If you work hard, if you do all the right stuff, if you get in the right connections or stay the right jobs. And a lot of it has to do with the culture of your family, because each one of your families had a dream for you. How many of you know your parents had a dream for you? And how many of you disappointed those parents? Right? That would be me. But it's natural to have dreams for our children and to have these dreams. But when we look at what living God's dream for our life is, that do you know that God has a dream for your life? And I had a dream for my life. When I was a teenager, I absolutely bought into the world's dream. And the world's dream for me was that if I could be successful at anything, if I could get financially secure so that I could be independent, that to me was my dream. But what I discovered, and by God's great grace, he rescued me from myself at a young age. I was 17 years old, and while I was going for that dream, I was also living a nightmare. My home life was a nightmare. My partying life was a nightmare. My boyfriend was a nightmare. And even at that young age, started to go, this kind of feels empty, but I don't know what else to do. And he rescued me, and he pursued me, and he set me up to stop my life. And then I discovered that the dream I had for my life, and for those of you who've been around, you've heard, my dream was that I was going to become an actress. I was going to win an Oscar. And the reason that I wanted to become an actress is because I was good at it. I was good at pretending to be whatever you needed me to be, because that's the American dream. I'm going to do whatever it takes to do that. And I was good at it. I was good at acting. And the bigger thing was, though, is that I figured if I could get good enough to do it, then they would pay me for it. And then I would be independent, and then I would be free. I would be secure. I wanted to be secure. But what I realized when God grabbed me, I started to get this idea that God had a bigger dream that I even had for myself. Do you know that God has a bigger dream for your life than you do? That he has a dream for you? That when you were in your mother's womb, that he had a dream for you? How many of you are moms in this place? We all have our own journey to motherhood and out of motherhood and seasons of motherhood, a grandmotherhood and adopted motherhood and all kinds of places. But when you have a child inside, you can't help but dream for them. And a lot of the times it is, at least for me, for my boys, I have 2 boys who are adults now. Thank God, they made it. I feel like I succeed because they survived. I'm sure they'll need therapy, levels of it. But they made it. But I had dreams for them, mostly that they'd survive, that they would become who they are meant to be, that God would introduce himself young in their life, that they would have a relationship with God. But they have to find their own way. They have to figure that out. But knowing that God's dream for you is actually bigger than the dream you have for yourself. And I thought that was a pretty big dream. Let's go for the stage. Let's go for an Oscar. Living an hour away from Hollywood, California, it didn't seem like it was going to be that big of a deal. Thank God I didn't do that. Lord, he really rescued me from so many things, because the world's success is empty. And it doesn't provide security, and it doesn't provide self-worth, and the money doesn't help. All we have to do is look around or look at TikTok and see. But what we do understand is that I was looking for security, independence, and safety. But God's dream was more about significance and not independence. Because I was like, I'm on my own. I looked at my parents, God bless them. I love them. They're a mess. And I knew that they're not going to be any help for me here. I'm just going to have to figure this out on my own. But the thing is that what I've learned in my relationship with God is that instead of independence, he created us for interdependence. That we are made to depend on him and each other. That we're made to have relationships. That God's dream for our life is bigger than what we can imagine. And discovering that seems like it's hard. And I know that when, you sing, he has good plans for me. It's so hard to believe he has good plans for me. Why? Because you've lived some terrible plans that you know are not from God. Because the world does not have good plans for you. The world's lies that tell you you will be secure if you have money or if you're perfect or if you're beautiful, if you have all those things, they're empty, and then you find yourself lost, but your trust is now broken in what you thought you knew. Like, I don't know about you, like if you even got to live your dream, whatever your dream is, you got a chance to do it for a little while. And then what happens if you fail at that dream? Well, now you just trust dreams. And then you think it's not the dream that failed, it's you that failed. And being in that position, that is somewhere the enemy absolutely would like you to be in. Thinking that it's your fault, you're not worth it, you're not good enough. Those are all the lies that come from the pit of hell. They don't come from the throne of heaven. God has good things for you. But we all get distracted and we get discouraged. And sometimes it's scary because I don't know about you, but God dropped in my heart when my second year in Bible college that I was called to women's ministry. And I was so excited about it just because I had a call. I mean, honestly, I wasn't even thinking logistics of it all, but I was like, okay, I have a mission. I know this is what God's called me to. And then what happened is that for the next 20 years, I didn't do it. I did youth ministry. I cleaned bathrooms. I moved lots of chairs. I worked at the church. I didn't work at the church. I volunteered at the church a lot. But the point of it, that call did a work in me to prepare me for the call. That the seasons, his grace and his mercy, he's like, you are so not ready now. We do not need to put you on a stage, any stage. You and I need to have this relationship. We need to grow. But it's discouraging, and there's so many times when I was like, God, your dream, I can't, and that was the problem though, right? I tried to make it happen. I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm going to start a blog. I'm going to do the social media. I'm going to have a platform. I'm old enough and young enough to do that. And then to go, but I can't do it. Because here's the thing, you can't create and do God's dream for your life. He does it in you and through you. The American dream, our dream is like, I can do this. American is, you can do this. God is like, you can't do this. You have to surrender this. Because I have so much more for you. So it is about letting go, not holding on to your dream. It's about letting go and letting me dream through you. Because his dream is so much bigger and so much deeper. But we get distracted and discouraged and defeated when we see and this is the annoying thing in the world. It seems like people are living the world's dreams. They are succeeding. They do seem secure. They do seem really, really popular. They've got it all together. Until they end up in court and you find out they didn't have it together at all. And then how bad is it when we realize that they're doing it, they're cheating. They're not even doing it, they're lying. They're sleeping with people. They're doing drugs. They are giving themselves, and they are at the top of success. This is evil. This is an evil world, but they're succeeding. This is so unfair. And so when we talk and we live in a world that is evil. I don't have to convince you of that. We live in a world that's not fair. You can do all the right things and still not succeed. You can do all the right things and somebody can cheat on you, cheat you, accuse you, and your whole world is turned upside down. And you're like, this is so wrong, because it is. But we have this beautiful, and that's what we're talking about, is that living God's dream for your life. And we're going to talk about the next 4 weeks, starting tonight, 4 elements of living God's dream for your life. And it's in Psalms 37. And we're going to talk about what that looks like and how it looks like in your life. But the most important thing is that you have to take this psalm in context. So you have the whole thing written in your book. We're just going to start with the first 3 verses. This is what it says. Do not fret because those who are evil, or be envious of those who do wrong. For like grass, they will soon wither. Like green grass, they will soon die away. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. So it's easy to take these verses, and these are verses that God has used in my life in all different seasons. And it was trust. The first letter, the big words, trust, delight, commit, and wait. But I didn't realize that they were framed by evil people succeeding. Have you ever got distracted by what's happening with somebody else? It's not fair. That you see somebody else that's succeeding, or somebody cheats you and they win? And you don't have a bank account anymore? Or you don't have a retirement anymore because somebody else did something wrong. Like, that is so distracting. How can you live God's dream for your life? And he's like, let me tell you how to do it. And it's in the midst. Okay, so we're going to go through the first 9 verses just this month. But I want to invite you to read the rest of it. Psalms 37, because it starts with, do not fret because of those who are evil or be envious of those who do wrong. And then verse 10 and on talks about that over and over and over again. Like, the world around you is not where you need to be looking. And it is when you are facing difficult times with difficult people, that people are lying about you. They don't like you. They're against you. How do you deal with that? Not by fighting back, but by trusting God. That this is living God's dream, and it is much more about being than doing. That success in God's definition is not about what you do, it's about who you are. It is about your character. It is about your soul. It is about learning to live a different way than the world does, because you are not a part of the world. If you've received Jesus and you're learning who God is, you're getting to know him in this relationship, you are no longer a part of this world, but we are still in the world. But we have to learn how to live different. And this whole psalm is called an acrostic psalm. What that means is that it's a wisdom song, and it's done in an acrostic manner, which is it's the Hebrew alphabet. So it goes through each line, starts with the Hebrew letter of an alphabet so that it would be easier to memorize. And this is one of those psalms that instead of singing to God, this is a psalm, which is a song, that would be sung, but this is actually to man. This is to us. It's like the Proverbs. Here's how you should live. This is the truth that you need to know. And how many of you know the songs, like the one we danced to a few minutes ago, they get in our psyche. We learn them. We get it in us. And that's what this is meant to be. This is meant to be something that you get in you, that you know about who you are. This is to, even though you are framed by wicked people all around you, that he says this is how you are supposed to live. And the first thing is, do not fret. Do not fret. What does that mean? That's like vexed. Like, don't be vexed. Don't get heartburn over what other people are doing. Well, why are they acting that way? You at work is probably the worst thing. Maybe it's your family. I don't know. But it's so easy to get all stirred up. So don't fret because those who are evil, or be envious of those who do not do wrong. And that word envious is like this word that you get so stirred up, it's like you're gonna burn. Like you get all charred up. And how easy it is to get all worked up because of what somebody else is doing. Because they're doing wrong to you or just doing wrong. But it says, for grass, they're like wither. And that's like the grass that you mow. They're like shavings. It's already dead. They're already cut off. They're going to wither away. Stop worrying about everyone else. And in the midst of your life, he's saying, stop focusing on what other people are doing and focus on me. Focus on what I'm doing in your life. Focus on what I'm calling you to do right here, right now. Don't be distracted from what God's called you to do or be by what other people are doing. Living God's dream for your life, the first thing is trust. Trust in the Lord. That's that first thing. And I have issues with trust. I have trust issues. Right now, I have trust issues with the vending machine in Orlando. Because all I wanted at the end of a hot day after Epcot was a Diet Coke. That is it. I just needed a Diet Coke, and so we put the money in, and it gave us nothing. And I was trusting it. Maybe something went wrong. We put more money into it and got a regular Coke. Now I have trust issues with vending machines. Haven't used one since. Because that's what I tend to do. I tend to go, oh, you're not trust. I'm done then. That independence kicks in. And trusting the Lord is challenging, but trust means this. Trust is a firm belief in the I speak for a living. Reliability. Firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something. That's what trust is. It says, trust in the Lord and do good. So he's saying these two things. Trust in the Lord and do good. So it isn't just trust in the Lord and it's an emotion, like you're going to I'm going to make myself feel trusting in God. He's like, get your eyes off somebody else. Trust in who I am and do something good. Do good. That's great. I love an action. I need an action verb. So in your life, what has God called you to do good with? Your family, your job, your community. What good can you do? What good has he created you to do? And the best thing to do is to stop being distracted by other people and do good where you're at, no matter where that is. This is for your life. Produce something good for God because he created you with gifts. And he says, use those gifts where you're at. Do good. And then he says this, enjoy safe pasture. Safe pasture. The word for trust is the Hebrew word batah. And it is that same word that means to believe in. And here's what I want you to hear, because fear is the thing that we deal with. Envy is an emotion. And I lived a lot of my time. I think I was thinking about starting a blog that was Confessions of a Comparison Addict. Just compared myself with everybody and always fell short. And envy is a part of that. And that's an ugly feeling. And fear is a terrible feeling. What does trust feel like? For a long time, I thought that trust was an emotion. Trust is not an emotion, it's a decision. Fear is an emotion. Trust is a decision. And so that means you can handle both. You can fear and trust God. You can worry and trust God. It isn't about pretending that you don't have a feeling. It's about processing the feeling in the presence of God. Because he is good, and the longer you walk with him, the more you discover he really is good and has good things for you. But it's hard in the world when you look around and you go, this does not seem like a good plan. This seems like a bad plan. And God says, get your eyes off them. Put your eyes on me, do good where you're at. And then he says, find safe pasture. That is the word that's so interesting to me because it's a word that is the same words at the very beginning of the 23rd Psalm. So the 23rd Psalm, how many of you know the 23rd Psalm? If you don't, you should read it. It becomes your friend. It's 6 verses. It's short. But it is the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He leads me to lie down in green pastures. So that word, the very beginning, the Lord is my shepherd, in Hebrew is Jehovah Ra'ah. And this word here is that safe pasture is that Ra'ah, the shepherd, the job of a shepherd. The Amplified says this, trust, and I have that on the screen, trust, and I love the Amplified because I need all the help I can get, means lean on, rely on, and be confident in the Lord and do good. So you shall dwell in the land and feed surely on his faithfulness, and truly you will be fed. He is a shepherd that will feed you. And that when you're trusting in him and you're not worried about what's going on around you, and you're trusting him with the terrible situation that just got handed to you, and it's very unfair, you can go, I'm going to feed on his faithfulness. I'm going to feed on who he is. He is my shepherd. And one of the things is that Do you know the only time that sheep will lie down in green pastures is when they're full? It means they're full. That he is a shepherd that will take you, eat till you're full. He'll fill you up. He'll lead you by quiet waters, which means that they're still. You won't get caught up in them. It's not a dangerous place. It's a safe place to be. This relationship with him is talked about, and he says, trust in the Lord, do good, and you will enjoy this relationship. Enjoy the relationship that you have with him. He is your shepherd. And doing good is what trust looks like in action. So what does trust look like? And that the do good part, that word good, is the Hebrew word tov. And that is used in Genesis when God created. And every time he created, he was like, that's good. Oh, that is good. Oh, look at that. That is good. And then he created man. He said, man, that's good. And he created woman. He said, very good. Very good. I think he said it about both of them. But it was very good. But it is this, and I love to break down the meanings of words because it helps me apply them to my life. And I realized a while ago that I was missing out on so much God had for my life because I was waiting to celebrate and I was waiting to enjoy my life until it was perfect. That everything had to be good. And I never got to the end of one day and thought, perfect. It was all the things I did wrong, right? Well, listen to the definition of tov. Pleasant, agreeable to the senses, pleasant to the higher nature, excellent of its kind, good, rich, valuable in estimation, appropriate, becoming, better, glad, happy, prosperous, good understanding, kind, benign, good, ethical. So it's this really broad idea of do good, and you've got a whole lot of room there to appreciate and go, God, what kind of good do you want me to do today? Maybe the only good, you can get to the end of the day and go, I said something nice to someone today. That was good. Like, start with where you're at and then build on it and it's a relationship with God that it doesn't have to be perfect for it to be good. It just got to be good enough. Do good, not perfect, and dwell in the land. That is a Hebrew word that means to reside permanently. That you're choosing to, and this one for me is a really interesting one because how do you live God's dream for your life? You have to accept the life that you have. You have to deal with the reality of your reality. What does your life look like right now? Because God's not surprised. Even if you look at your life and you go, I don't want to be here. I don't like the people I'm with. I don't like the job. Like, I don't want to be here. And so what do? You wait until you have a better life to become a better person. Or you're going to wait for God's dream for your life until after you get out of this season. And God's like, no, I meet you right here, right now. I want you to dwell here. I want you to settle in me in the midst of being surrounded by evil people, of being surrounded by problems, of being surrounded by challenges. This is your reality. This is where I meet you. And maybe it's your season. Our seasons change as women every 5 to 7 years. It's so annoying. Because just about the time that I get used to it, I'm like, everything changes. Awesome. But learning that I don't have to wait for a season to come or mourn a season that's gone because God meets me right where I am. Where are you? He knows. And he's got good things for you to do. He says, settled in, abide in me right now. Make this your home. I'm with you right here. And let's talk about a flourishing life. When you go, okay, God, I'm not really happy where I'm at, but you can help me to accept it. And to maybe start seeing you in it. And knowing that I can be who you called me to be right here, not wait until. Or I wish I was. But right now, in my life, with my marriage, in my singleness, in my retirement, in my job, Lord, what do you have for me? I'm going to settle in and go, God, use me how you want to use me here. Help me do good. Just a good job. Not a great job. Just an appropriate job. Help me bring beauty and kindness, your love and your truth into this. Dwell in the land and you'll enjoy safe pasture. And it's a picture of a shepherd faithfully taking care of sheep in the pasture. We feed on his faithfulness, his love for you. He takes care of you. Jesus in John 10 tells this story. He's trying to help his disciples understand who he is. And so he tells a lot of stories to try to get them to understand what reality looks like and who he actually is. And so he tells a story. He says, listen, so he's talking about sheep, and he's talking about a shepherd. And they're probably, the way Jesus taught, was they were probably on the edge of the field watching a shepherd watch his sheep, and watching the shepherd take care of his sheep, and watching the shepherd dealing with them. And he's a shepherd. He said, listen, he says, in truth, anyone who sneaks over the wall of the pen rather than going through the gate would be a thief and a robber. But one who enters through the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. And then he says, the gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep recognize his voice and come to him. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. And after he has gathered his flock, he walks ahead of them, and they follow him because they know his voice. And then he says, they won't follow a stranger. They'll run from him because they don't know his voice. And I think one of the important things in our lives is learning Jesus' voice. Learning so you can recognize. It's why it's so important to read the Bible, so you can just recognize his voice. Because his voice will never, Jesus and God the Father will not, I'm losing my words today. It won't say the opposite of what he said in his word. This is how you can learn his voice, because when God tells you something and you go, is that God? Look in the word, because he won't contradict it. That was the word. Contradict it. It will, and you learn to listen to his voice, so that when he does speak to your mind, when he does speak to your heart, you go, oh, that's Jesus. That's my Father's voice. I know that voice. But so many of you don't know his voice, and you're just following strangers. And you're like, oh, well, I don't understand what's happening. And you're like, you followed him right out of the pen. Learn his voice, and he's calling to you all the time. He is a shepherd that pursues. What was funny is that those who heard Jesus use this illustration didn't understand what he meant. They were like, what are you talking about? And this is so he explained to them as clearly as he could. He said, I tell you the truth, I'm the gate. This is how you get in. That's me. All who came before me were thieves and robbers, but the true sheep did not listen to them. And that's that thing, that listening, that voice. I'm going to play a video in just a minute. And it is about 3 people who are trying to get the sheep. They're saying the words to get the sheep to listen to them, and then the shepherd's voice. And this is how we're meant to live, is that we're meant to know his voice so that when he calls, we will respond to him just like this. Let's watch it. I can narrate it for you. So right now, somebody's going out to a gate.
One more time.
And they're going to call to the sheep, but the sheep ignore them. Do we have a video? There we go. Okay.
One more time.
Oh, one.
Look at them. Look at them.
That's amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
They're coming. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, that's amazing. Oh my God. Did you hold the voice? Oh my God, this is amazing. One more.
Sheep are like, what do you have for me? I love that, and it actually makes me cry every time. And I think the reason that it pulls on my emotions is because in his first words to the sheep, you can tell he knows them. Do you know God knows you? Do you know he loves you? Do you know that he's calling to you and he's got good things for you? And that's how we're meant to live. We're meant to live that we ignore all the other voices that aren't Jesus, that aren't God our Father. And that we know his voice so well that when he calls, we go, what? You have something good for me? All right. And that you ignore. I love it because the sheep ignored the other ones. They didn't even move an ear. But the shepherd's voice they responded to. That's a picture, and this is a picture that Jesus is giving us for how we are meant to live our lives, knowing that you are seen and loved and known. A shepherd knows every one of his sheep. He knows every single one of them. And this is what Jesus said. He said, yes, I'm the gate. Those who come in through me will be saved. Saved from what? Saved from everything outside the pasture, the dangers and all the things out there. He says, you are meant to be taken care of, not on your own. Let me take care. I am. You will be saved. They will come and go freely and will find good pasture. The thief's purpose is to steal, kill, and destroy, but my purpose is to give them a rich and satisfying life. And there's God's dream for your life right there. Is that it may not be big and flashy, but it'll be rich and satisfying. That I realized that God was more interested in who I was than what I did. That God's dream for my life was that I would start to be comfortable in my own skin instead of trying to be everybody else's. I didn't have to act like anybody. I had to discover who he made me to be and let him love me, which means I had to love me. That's a job. Because I didn't love me. I felt all the things that I was unlovable. And God said, oh no, you're very lovable. Let's work on it together. And then the other part is that knowing that satisfying life to God was that I could have a good marriage. That I wouldn't have to work on 100 relationships. I needed to work on a few really important ones. And learn how to do that in a healthy way. That is salvation here. And then eternity, I get to learn how to be loved by God now and then loved by God for all eternity. It's a relationship that doesn't end in this place, but it absolutely begins here. And this is what he said, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd sacrifices his life for the sheep. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. You want to live God's dream for your life? Trust in him. Do good where you are. Not perfect, not best, not the best thing ever, just good. Just do good. Could you do good? I could do good. Can't do great. I could do good. And he's like, that's all I'm asking you to do. Do good. In Romans, he talks about our present suffering and future glory. Because we have no guarantee that we won't suffer here. But the American dream, or the dream that the world tells you that if you do all this stuff, you can avoid suffering. It's a lie. How many of you know it's a lie? I don't even have to look at you, I know. Because it's a lie. And this is what Paul said, and I'll just read it to you. He says, I consider our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. Because God is so good. He's such a good shepherd that he'll even use your suffering to reveal who you are. To reveal how strong you are, to reveal the treasure that you are, to reveal that you are stronger than you thought you were and you can get through more than you can. That he doesn't try to save you from suffering. He'll walk with you through it. He goes, because there's more of you that you need to know. And there is a blessing that only he can bring out of it, and it's revealed. There's a glory that is revealed in us. And then he says this, he says, for creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. Do you know that the world itself, our world is waiting for you to step into God's dream for your life? is waiting for you to be who God's called you to be. They're longing for it. Yes, we need people who will love people broken, all messed up, knowing all that, because that's how God loves us. Your world is waiting for you to be who God's called you to be. Romans 8:28 says, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. And if you are within the sound of my voice, you are called according to his purpose. And his first purpose is to love you. He says, let me love you. Will you let me love you? Let me love you. Let me love you. And that love will help you know who you are. It is in that. The invitation into a relationship with God is to be loved by him. But then it can, because we take that, and when I preach this verse, I have to say this, is that it is not saying that all things are good. All things aren't good. But he says he'll work for good all things. That out of the worst circumstances, out of the heartbreak, suffering, out of somebody else doing something wrong to you, he can work good. Yes. He can work good in it. And that's a miracle that you and I can't do. But if you trust him, he can. He can work for good of those who love him and have been called according to purpose. And this is what he says. For those God foreknew, which means he had you in his mind before you were born. He knew about you. He also predestined. And that word has this that's a big theology word, but this is what it means. In his heart, he predestined you to be loved by him and to have a relationship with him. My boys, before they were born, I wanted to have a relationship with them. That's what it means. But just like my children, they have free will. They don't have to have a relationship with me, and neither do you. You don't have to have a relationship with God, but in his heart, before you were born, you were created to have a relationship with God where you would receive his love and enjoy safe pasture and know his voice. And then he says to be conformed to the image of his son so that he might be the firstborn among many servants and slaves. Is that what it says? No, he says brothers and sisters. We're a part of a family. This is a family that we're joining. And it is God's plan and God's idea. And it's a different family than you know. And it's not the family of the world. And it's a whole different way to live and be loved and loved others. It's about a family. And those he predestined, he called. And those he called, he justified. And those he justified, he also glorified. God, who does the work in that whole verse? God. Our whole work is to receive and surrender. It's his work to do all that. I can't glorify myself. I don't have to make it work. I don't have to justify myself. I don't have to prove myself. I have to receive what God has for me and let him do the work by his love. Let him love me. Worship is a great place to practice letting God love you. Being in worship, having worship music in your car, in your bedroom. I remember doing my makeup in the morning to worship music because I needed worship music as I looked at my face. And now, that was like 20 years ago, and I'm like, oh, I love that face. We never appreciate what we have when we have it. But because I wasn't good enough. I kept trying to be good enough, and I look at my face, but when I listen to worship music, it wasn't about me preparing for the day. It was about me preparing for the day. God's day. This is God's put me here in this place at this time. Living God's dream for your life is to trust. Trust in the Lord and do good and dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. And this is where it really the rubber hits the road, because I want to dare you with something. Because to trust, God says this, and this is something that God spoke to me. He said, I know that you're being challenged right now and things are unfair and you have no control of what's happening. But trust me. Surrender the whole thing to me. And then he said, I dare you to dream. When you trust God, he says, because what happens is that when I feel people are coming against me or situations are coming against me or finances are jacked, that's one that triggers me. When something happens that throws me off, I'm like, call in the ranks. I'm not going to dream anymore. We're going to pull in together. We're going to get right. And God's like, no, explode out. What's my dream for your life? I dare you to dream. Trust God so much, no matter what other people are doing, that you dream his dream for your life. And he planted a dream in you as a little girl. And it's a big dream because we can't help it as kids. That's why we have to become like children to enter the kingdom of God, because children will believe anything. What is a dream that God put in your heart that he's asking you to dare to dream again? Maybe you said, well, I can't ever have that dream. And he goes, really? Have you met me? All things are possible with God. He saved you, and he's daring you to dream again. I dare you to dream. And so I got my eyes off, and I was like, okay, let's dream then. That's trust. And again, I'm going to say it again. Fear is an emotion. Trust is a decision. And when I decide to trust, I'm daring to dream in the midst of opposition, in the midst of trials, in the midst of these things. What do you need to dream about? What have you let go of? It's something, but God's bringing it back and saying, oh, I have more for you. Maybe you've given up on your marriage or on a relationship. The dream of it, you're like, it's not happening. And God's like, I dare you to dream. What could I do? As you trust me, do good in your home and enjoy, let me love you. See what I can do with your relationships. See what I can do at your job. See what I can do with your life. Today, I want to dare you to dream, and that is your fill-in in your book. You got one fill-in this week. It's dare to dream. I dare you to dream. Jesus said in John 14:1, do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. And then he said this, my Father's house has many rooms. If it were not so, I would have told you. I've told you that I was going there to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me so that you will always be where I am. You know the way to the place where I am going. And when Jesus talked to his disciples, he said, don't let your hearts be troubled. He told them, listen, he was trying to prepare them for his crucifixion. He said, I'm going to go away. And they're like, where are you going? You just got here. Look, you're doing all these amazing things. And he's like, here's the thing. I'm going away, but I won't leave you alone. You know the Father. And Philip asked this. He's like, because he says, you know the way to the place where I'm going. And Thomas said to him, Lord, we don't know the way where you are going. So how can we know the way? Jesus answered, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Jesus is the way to the Father. He is the way to peace. He is the way to truth. His way to live is not the way of the world. It is in the midst of the world with evil people doing evil things and being envious of people who seem to do the wrong thing, but they seem to be doing great. God's like, oh, no. Come through the gate, beautiful daughter. Come enter into a kingdom that exists here, but is not here. I am the way, the truth, and the life to the dream that God has for you. It's a relationship that Jesus paid for on the cross so that you have the right and freedom and authority to live the dream that God has for you. The unique dream, as unique as you are, with the gifts that he's given you. And then he says, no one comes to the Father except through me. Why? Because the cross, when he went to the cross, he paid the payment for your sin. The only thing separating you from God's love is sin, because God is holy. He is holy and he is righteous and he is perfect and he's the creator of the universe. And it is your sin and my sin. And we know that instinctually. Because when you do something wrong, you're like, and I'm out. Don't punish me. I'm not, that feeling of I'm not worthy to come to God because I know all the stuff in me. I know what I do bad. I know that. And Jesus said, okay, here's the thing. I'm going to fix that for you. On the cross, I'm going to go. I'm going to die so that I will take the punishment for your sin. And then I defeat death. He rose again on the resurrection. And when he did that, He says, I am the way for you to have a relationship with the Father that you could not have with anybody else. Because you are now unhindered and free starting right this second. You receive forgiveness, you receive freedom, you receive a new life, you receive a new identity that no one can give you but the Father. And he says, no one goes to the Father except through me. And then he goes, I'm the gate. Come on, come on, come on, come in. Let me love you. Let me restore you. Let me redeem you because nothing's stopping you now. I took your sin. I took it all for you. You have nothing to fear, nothing to prove, nothing to lose. Will you let God the Father love you? Because that's where I'm going. I'm going to sit on the right hand. He said, and now you know. And then he says this, if you really know me, you will know my Father as well. From now on, you do know him and have seen him, because when you've seen Jesus, you've seen the Father. And for me, that's such a comfort, because like the Father, this big idea, I'm like, oh, that's a lot. And a lot of people tell you what God is like. But Jesus was the only one who died and rose again. That means that when he says he is the Father, you can look to Jesus and you can go, oh, he heals, he restores, he loves. He tells the truth, and he does tick people off. Like, he loves them so much, he won't lie to them. And he wasn't happy with the religious hypocrites that said you have to look good on the outside but be miserable on the inside. He goes, no, no, no. Come to God honestly. Come as you are. Be real with God, because he absolutely wants his real love to transform your life. So the question I have for you is, what forgotten dream or new dream is God planting in your heart? Have you let go of dreams? Or have you just settled in your life and you're just surviving it? Or are you bitter and angry at, did you see what she did? At my work, those people, they're ruining my life. Those bosses, they don't know what the heck they're doing. And God says, but I know why I put you there. What if it has nothing to do with them? What if it has everything to do with them? What if there's a dream I have to live through you there? What is God's dream for your life? He's not surprised at your life. He wants to meet you right where you are and dream something. And then there's a card that we've put in each of your books. And if you don't have a card or dropped out on the way, if you'll raise your hand, we'll give you one. Because as the worship team comes forward and they're going to start getting ready, I want to give you some time, because this one is, today I'm letting go of. Because sometimes, keep it up, we'll get you. We got our section hosts working. Because here's the thing. Sometimes you can't trust in God because you've put your trust somewhere else. That you're trusting in yourself. You're trusting in finances. You're trusting in a job. You're trusting in what? And a lot of the times we think that we're trusting in God when we're really trusting in an outcome. And this is God's word for you today. Abandon outcomes. Trust God and let go of the outcome. I will do God's will as long as my marriage is fixed in a year. Right? Like if I do and that's what we get. If I do all the right things, then you hear a testimony, and instead of hearing God's miraculous power, you're like, well, they did this and they did this. So if I do that, then God will do that. And that didn't happen. You're like, God's not real. Because we're good at holding on to things. Some of you have to let go of fear. And again, fear is an emotion. Trust is a choice. But the only thing to do with fear is to surrender it to God and then ask it the right questions. What are you afraid of? There's a verse that says, take captive every thought in Christ Jesus. And I used to think that meant that you grab it and throw it away. Like you just pretend it's not there. And I'm going to take that thought captive and I'm not going to think about it. That's not what it means. It's more like an enemy gets you go behind enemy lines. Or you get captured by the enemy. When you get captured by the enemy. And they interrogate somebody from the other side. They take them captive. And they go, who are you? Why are you here? And what was your mission? So when fear comes into your life, when you have the emotion of fear, you have to take it captive and go, who sent you? Why are you here? And what is your mission? Where did you come from? Well, you came from a lie that I had when I was 5 years old. Great. Is it true? So it is not to ignore fear, it's to process it in the presence of God's love. It is to ask it questions. It is to say, I can trust God and feel this emotion because trust is a decision. All right, where are you from? Is it true? And what does God say about this? So maybe you need to let go of fear. Maybe you need to let go of a false dream. Maybe you've held on to your dream for so long it's making you miserable because you're not living the dream that you thought you had. And maybe you need to surrender. It's like a false future that you're grieving that you never had. Let it go. Surrender it. You don't need to carry it anymore. What do you need to let go of? So as the worship team sings this, I want you to, those are the two options that you have, or both. I dare you to dream. What is God's dream? Put that in the front of the book. What is God's dream for your life, for your relationships, for your reality? What are his dreams? Ask him, and then write down whatever comes to you. And then what are you letting go of? What do you need to surrender tonight? What I'm going to ask you to do, they're going to sing. And you guys, if you're done writing, you can worship, you can stand, you can sit, you can do whatever. But at the end, we're going to close out. And what I'm going to ask you to do is leave the card on your seat. When you leave, you're letting go. You're letting go of it so you can trust God and do good and feed on his faithfulness. So we're going to sing. Join us. Ask God to show you what you need to let go of. Ask God to show you the dream he has for you. Write it down. Worship. Let him love you. Let that faith grow inside of you. Or battle the fear and say, today I will process it within God's love. That I need to let go of. Maybe it's a specific fear. Maybe you need to name that fear. And then I'm going to pray. And we're going to close out, give you some information. But when you leave, don't take this with you. Leave it. We're going to gather all the cards and pray over them as we pray over you. Let's worship. Thank you.
Walking around these walls, I thought by now they'd fall, but you have never failed me yet. Waiting for change to come, knowing the battle's won, for you have never failed me yet. Your promise still stands, great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You've never failed me yet. Oh, you never failed. I know the night won't last. Your word will come to pass. My heart will sing your praise again. Jesus, you're still enough. Keep me within your love. My heart will sing your praise again. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never fail. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never fail me yet. You never fail me yet. Oh, I've seen you move the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way when there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again. I've seen you move the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again. I've seen you move the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again. I'll see you do it again. Oh, again. I'll see you do it again.
Promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands.
This is my confidence. You've never failed. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never fail me yet. Never fail me yet. And I never will forget. You never fail me yet. And I never will forget. You never fail me.
His promise still stands. Great is his faithfulness. You may be facing the worst thing you've ever faced. He'll move a mountain again. He'll come through. Well, you need to remember you are still in his hands. I am still in his hands. I don't know how. I don't have an answer of how, but that's not my job. My job is to surrender the outcome and trust God, to decide, I want your way, not mine. What do you need to let go of today? What's the dream that God has put in your heart, and what's holding you back from living it? Maybe the dream is freedom. from fear. But I want to remind you again that fear is an emotion, trust is a decision, which means that it's not that you will never feel fear. You will never feel fear alone. You do it with God. You can feel fear and still trust God at the same time. That's how beautiful this relationship is. So whatever you're afraid of letting go, leave it on the chair when you leave. And receive, I pray, my prayer for you is that all this week you hear the Holy Spirit whisper to your life, I dare you to dream. I dare you to dream. I dare you to dream. Come on. Let's break out of some faulty mindsets that says you're too old or too young or not good enough or all those things. He says, oh no, you're my daughter. You are my daughter. And you are made to make a difference in this world. Dare to dream. Let's dream together this week. I'm going to pray for you, and then you're going to sit on your cards. And as you leave, do not give in to the temptation to take it with you. Leave it as a symbol that every step you take out of here, you're leaving that in God's hands. You're leaving it behind. I'm going to pray for you, and then I'm going to ask you to sit. Jesus, we surrender all we're holding on to, and we receive all that you have for us. We choose to trust you in the midst of it. And we need some safe pastures to rest in. Help us to rest in your love and be brave to dream God-sized dreams. In Jesus' name, amen.